Welcome to the Mixed Reception Podcast. I'm your host, Barrett Sigmund, and today we have a very special guest, a returning guest, Kasey Kennedy. What is up, Kasey?
What's up, Barrett? I'm very glad to be here. I love this pod.
Thank you. You guys might know Kasey from the sketch group ComicKaze and URC, the Ultimate Roast Championship. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Hell yeah. And last time we did Avatar, no new updates on Avatar 2 since we last spoke.
I think there were some shots that came out from Avatar 2, actually.
Some shots?
Yeah, like some promotional photography sort of stuff that came out since then.
Oh, well, cool.
Yeah. Well, because I think they're finished filming all the new ones at this point, I think, but if they'll ever come out.
That's the ultimate, who cares movie. I don't know.
Yeah.
But today we are discussing The Mummy from 1999, not to get confused with The Mummy with Tom Cruise from 2017, which, have you ever seen that movie?
Oh, no, I avoid that film like the plague.
I watched it. I rented it, and I remember when it came out, everybody was like, oh, this movie sucks, and it was like a huge bomb. I don't know. I watched it. I couldn't tell you what happened in it. I don't remember, but I remember thinking it was okay. I didn't think it was like the worst thing ever. I did think Tom Cruise was miscast. But I think we can both agree it pales in comparison to this film, the 1999 Mummy with Brendan Fraser. What is your experience with this movie? What was your introduction to it?
So I watched The Mummy probably 10 times when I was in that 10 to 12 range. I was born in 91, so I guess I was 8 when the movie came out, but I remember watching it a bunch, and the sequel,
Mummy Returns.
First sequel, Mummy Returns, a bunch. Although I don't know that I ever saw the third one, which is the God Emperor Dragon one or something.
It's the Mummy Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. I saw it. I've seen it a couple of times. It is bad.
That's what I've heard. Yeah,
horrible.
It looks weird. It's taking a weird turn where, I guess they ran out of mummy mythology, so they're like, oh, let's see if we can find some other mythology to dredge up or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So let me ask you something real quick. Is in the new Tom Cruise Mummy one, is Tom Cruise supposed to be Brendan Fraser's character?
He's not the same character. It's a complete reboot. It was supposed to kind of kick off the dark universe. I don't know if you remember, they were going to do a new cinematic universe with all the Universal monsters.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's that infamous photo that was Photoshopped that had Johnny Depp as the Invisible Man. I think Javier Bardem was supposed to be Frankenstein, and then it had Tom Cruise in the photo, and then the I guess the mummy from that movie, and then
I don't like name? Javier Bardem as Frankenstein. That's way too sexy to be Frankenstein. You can't do that. I shouldn't want to fuck Frankenstein.
You think Javier Bardem's sexy?
Oh, well, I mean, I think a lot of people do. I don't know.
Also, Russell Crowe was in that photo too. He was the Mr. Hyde, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. He's actually in the Mummy movie from 2017.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, it's not the worst movie. It's just I think it falls into the kind of trap that I think a lot of these movies try to do. They try to just set up too much instead of just being its own movie. But Tom Cruise is kind of playing a similar type character that kind of kind of cocky adventurer, womanizer, type. But he's I don't know. He's miscast, I think. I don't know. Tom Cruise is he looks good for his age. He's also 60. It's just, I don't know. I thought he was
looks younger than me and you, but
Oh yeah, he still looks way better than us. But okay, so you kind of grew up watching these movies. Now I have a very kind of fun story. I actually saw this in theaters. I was 9. And my dad and I, we were going to see one other movie. We're going to go see October Sky. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie.
I never saw it, but I remember it.
It's a great movie. But for whatever reason, at the last minute, we were at the ticket counter or whatever. We just audibled and we were like, "Hey, what's The Mummy? let's go see that. And this is like the only time I think I've ever gone into a movie completely blind. Like I hadn't seen any trailers. Like, I don't think this movie was marketed that much. Like, I mean, granted, at the time I was probably watching like a lot of Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network, so I mean, it kind of makes sense that they wouldn't be showing the trailers. But like, I didn't know anything about this movie. I mean, all I knew was like The Mummy. That's it. And so we went in, and this movie, I loved it. I mean, we both loved it, and I had this on VHS. Like I've probably seen this 100 times. I'm not kidding. And also I have very fond memories of The Mummy Returns. So those two movies, like I loved them as a kid. And although Mummy Returns does not hold up as well.
I believe that.
Yeah, that movie is weird. They got that weird subplot where like Evie is like a reincarnated princess. Like that shit's stupid. And then like I remember like the effects in that movie were horrible. I think that was a rush job. I think like
that's interesting because the first one I was actually like, so when I rewatched it for this podcast, it's the first time I've seen it in probably 15 years. You know, since I was probably 14 or 15 years old, and I was actually amazed at how good the CGI and stuff were in the first one.
Oh yeah, this movie still holds up like as far as effects go.
Yeah.
But the second one, like I said, I think it was a rush job because like I know like Mummy came out, it was a success, and it came out like 2 years to the date. I think I don't know. I don't think the effects were finished. And there's that infamous scene where like at the end where like The Rock comes out and he's like half human, half scorpion. That is like the worst like CGI like probably ever. Even at the time as like an 11-year-old, I was like, ooh, that's bad.
Wait, I bet it wasn't as bad as the CGI from Coming to America 2, where they tried to make Eddie Murphy look young again.
I haven't seen it yet. Oh my God. So they tried to de-age him?
Yeah, they did like a scene, like in order to like make the plot make sense, they had to like retcon some stuff. So they added some scenes from like the 80s and they made Eddie Murphy look young again. And it's like in a dimly lit club. And it looks like somebody did it on like Microsoft Paint. Like it's really bad.
Oh my God. There's this YouTube channel called The Corridor Crew. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's a bunch of guys who are like our VFX artists, and they like look at movies and kind of tell you if the effects are good or not. And they actually like went in and redid the Scorpion King scene at the end of The Mummy Returns and they made it look better.
Oh, that's awesome.
And a bunch of guys who like, kind of just have a YouTube channel made it look better. But those first two movies I love, and like the third one just came out like way after the second one, and it's pretty bad. So
let me tell you a little fun fact here. You know how like you remember things as a kid sometimes a lot differently than they actually were.
Oh yeah, all the time.
I was convinced that the guy who played the brother, Jonathan. Yeah. In my head, that was Hugh Laurie. I remembered that as Hugh Laurie. So when I started the movie back up and it wasn't Hugh Laurie, I was shocked. But then I was even more shocked to learn that the guy who played Imhotep was not Billy Zane. I remembered Billy Zane playing the Mummy. And I still think that guy looks like the Kmart version of Billy Zane. I think that they just like grabbed like some Billy Zane lookalike and put a lot of bronzer on his skin and we're like, you're the star of our movie.
Wow, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, he kind of does look like Billy Zane. Would this have been a better movie if Billy Zane was in it? I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. Because they both have a very exaggerated eyebrow action.
Wow.
That's the thing about Billy Zane in movies. He's very like
yeah. Wow, I didn't know you knew so much about Billy Zane's eyebrows. Wow.
I'm what they call a Zaneatic. I actually, we're workshopping the name.
Are you gonna have a podcast where you just talk about Billy Zane movies?
I'm actually. That's the real reason I'm here, Barrett. I'm trying to pitch you on my new podcast idea.
It's funny that you bring up Billy Zane because the Scorpion King was a spinoff, and I think he's in Scorpion King 3. Billy Zane.
There are three Scorpion King movies?
I think they made 4. The first one was in theaters, and then the other like 3 were like straight to DVD. But he is in the third one. I haven't seen it, but he's in it.
Wow.
So, wow, it comes full circle.
Yeah. Wow.
So, all right, so this movie, mixed reviews. That's why we're talking about it. I'm gonna go over some reviews, some positives, some mixed, some negatives. I mean, this movie, I don't know. I was reading some of these reviews. I think the critics had it wrong. Some of these reviews are so fucking pretentious. I'm gonna start with a positive from our boy Roger Ebert, Chicago Sun-Times. He gave it a 3 out of 4. Quote, "There was hardly a thing I can say in its favor, except that I was cheered by nearly every minute of it. I cannot argue for the script, the direction, the acting, or even the mummy, but I can say that I was not bored, and sometimes I was unreasonably pleased." Jesus Christ, Roger, just admit that you liked it.
Right.
That was the most aggressive fucking positive review ever.
He's like, I'm not saying I liked it. All I'm saying is I was smiling ear to ear the entire time. Yeah, that's a very fair assessment because the dialogue is mostly pretty bad.
You think so? I guess we'll get into it in notes.
I feel like I remember. I don't know, like Brendan Fraser's character, like they wanted him to be Indiana Jones so bad, you know.
Okay, yeah, this is totally. So I feel like Last Crusade came out in '89, and I know that they were trying to get to do Indiana Jones 4, and that was kind of like development hell, and I feel like this movie kind of filled the void.
For sure.
Ways. Like, yeah, oh yeah, this is totally like Indiana Jones, but that's why I kind of like it.
No, I agree. 100%. It like feels like an Indiana Jones movie. It's got that sort of like epic adventure feel to it. There's these really grandiose shots and this like exaggerated orchestra when they're like flying across the desert and stuff like that. So definitely meant to feel very epic in the same vibe.
All right, I got a mixed review. This is from Stephen Holden from the New York Times. Quote, "This version of The Mummy has no pretenses to be anything other than a gaudy comic video splashed into the screen. Think Raiders of the Lost Ark with cartoon characters, no coherent storyline, and lavish but cheesy special effects. Think Night of the Living Dead stripped of genuine horror and restaged as an Egyptian-themed Halloween pageant. Think Abbott and Costello meet The Mummy grafted onto a Bing Crosby Bob Hope road picture and pumped up into an epic-sized genre spoof." I think this wow, that review is fucking pretentious. I think so.
I'm going to be honest with you, Barrett. All the things that he's saying, he says it like they're mean things to say, but that sounds wonderful. All of that. Well, I want to watch that movie.
There's no coherent storyline. I mean, like the plot's very simple. How is it incoherent?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I think
really A to B.
Cheesy special effects. I think like we said, I think the special effects are great. And I think this movie, I think it's like, well, there's a couple of shots that are kind of questionable. But like, I mean, I think this movie actually kind of looks better than some movies today.
What's interesting is that the CGI looked really good, but the fight scenes, a lot of them were pretty like you punch and then like his fist clearly misses by 6 inches and you hear the exaggerated like, you know.
Yeah, well, I know that they had to like Brendan Fraser choreographed like some of the fights with like the mummies or whatever, because they weren't actually there, so they had to like later insert the mummies digitally. So it kind of makes sense. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Think Raiders of the Lost Ark. I mean, is that a bad thing? I don't think so. Anytime,
exactly.
Yeah. I got this is another mixed one. Los Angeles Times, Kenneth Turan drags its uninspiring action out too long for anyone's good. I mean, I think the action in this movie is great, and I think the pacing's really good. I don't think like nothing about it felt like over long to me.
What was interesting was Alex and I were like an hour because you're like about an hour into the film, a little bit over an hour in when the Mummy actually gets released again.
Yeah.
And I was like, I paused it at that time, expecting it's like, I thought we were 20 minutes in. Because I'm like, okay, the mummy's out now. Now the plot can begin. And we looked and it's like, there's only 40 minutes left or something. I'm like, holy shit, this movie's almost over already. So the time to me, it was like the opposite. He said it felt like it dragged on. I felt like it flew by.
Yeah. Well, you had to have that build up. I don't know. I like that stuff. I got some negative ones. Stephen Hunter, The Washington Post, Fast and Furious, shallow, empty, casually racist, merry, jaunty, silly, and utterly weightless. I don't think this movie's weightless. I mean, the whole the world ending is at stake here.
I will say that there is definitely some casual racism, but most movies from the late 90s and early 2000s had some casual racism.
So that was when I was looking up reviews, that was brought up a lot, the racism. I guess it's racist against, I guess, Arab people.
Yeah, like the one dude,
the warden,
the guy who runs the prison.
Yeah.
He is like every stereotype of an Arabic person rolled into one. And then they even like the guy says something about like, oh, what's that awful smell? And then the camera cuts over to the Arabic dude. He's like chewing something and spits it out or something. And it's like all these really awful things.
I didn't even know that was an Arab stereotype that they smell. I didn't even know. I just thought this was like a dirtbag dude. And I don't know. I didn't even think about like, oh, is this racist? I don't know.
It's one of the things at the time, most people probably didn't see it as that racist. But like if you watch it through a lens of 2021, some of the stuff does look pretty racist.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, definitely some of those jokes would not be in the movie today. And I got one last negative review. Hopelessly overwrought and deeply dopey movie. I mean, I don't think the movie takes itself too serious, which is what I kind of like about it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think these reviews are bullshit. I mean, I love this movie, but that's just me.
Well, I mean, look, it's a great example of like, if you're going into this movie expecting to watch like a masterpiece cinematic experience, then you're not going to get that. But it's just shameless fun, right? Like, just enjoy the ridiculous, like slapsticky adventure film and like go in with that attitude. You're gonna have a great time. If you go in expecting to see fucking Stanley Kubrick, yeah, you're probably not gonna have your expectations met. But if you go in, just like, oh, this is going to be fucking wacky and zany, and there's going to be some ridiculous scenes that don't make any sense, then you're going to have a great time. And that's why I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Yeah, Rotten Tomatoes, 61% from the critics. I think that is too low, personally. Too low.
I agree. I was surprised that this movie was on your mixed reception list because I would have assumed it got great reviews,
Well, yeah, when I was like kind of looking for movies, like, I was like, oh, what did The Mummy get? And I was like, oh shit, because I mean, I thought this movie was awesome when I was a kid. But yeah, 61% from the critics, 75 audience liked it a lot better. Audience 75%. Consensus: it's difficult to make a persuasive argument for The Mummy as any kind of meaningful cinematic achievement, but it's undeniably fun to watch. I mean, I guess I agree with that. I agree with you. I mean, I don't think they're trying to make like, Ben-Hur here.
Right.
Lawrence of Arabia.
They were never going to get nominated for Best Picture, but they were definitely going to get nominated for Best Fight Scene at the MTV Music Awards or whatever.
Oh, you know what? I didn't even look that up. I wonder if this got any like VMA nominations.
That's what it is, VMA, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Metacritic 48. IMDb 7.0. Yeah, I mean, I think audiences seem to like this movie. And it was a pretty big hit. Budget 80 million. United States it made 155. Worldwide 403 million. So
oh yeah, that's a big success.
Wow, this was like the summer of '99. Which is like I feel like one of the all-time greatest years for movies. I mean, you had like Matrix came out that summer. You had Sixth Sense, Fight Club, which like that was kind of a bomb at the time. But like that's a big movie. I'm trying to think what else. American Beauty, which Kevin Spacey's an asshole, but still a good movie. And then Phantom Menace, which isn't great, but like that was like just such a big like thing at the time.
Yeah.
And I feel like the Mummy was just like kind of this like kind of thrown in the middle of all that and was kind of this surprise hit. So let's like get into like notes, like what we actually thought of the movie. So my first note is the opening where they kind of explain the history of the Mummy. We got a naked Moon walking in. I tried to find a nipple. I don't think I could find one.
She had pasties on.
She had pasties. Okay.
Yeah, she had like little like they were like golden. It's funny. I actually was just reading trivia about the Mummy, and one of the trivia things about that was that her entire outfit was body paint. The only thing she was actually wearing in that scene was a loincloth and pasties. Everything else was painted on her.
Nice. Yeah, she's hot.
Definitely hot.
Terrible way to. So I guess this is the Pharaoh's mistress.
I think it was like implied that she was like, I don't know if it was like his queen, but like she was like his, I don't know, what's the word, concubine maybe?
I don't know. Like he's gonna like curse Imhotep just over a mistress. I don't know. Seems a little, but I gotta say, what a horrible way to die. Getting wrapped up, and then a bunch of scarabs.
Scarabs. Okay, I had so many nightmares about scarabs when I was a kid, dude, because of this movie. The scarabs freaked me out. I don't like spiders, and scarabs are kind of similar. They're in this like a similar ballpark where they're like skittering all over the place and eating you and stuff. Like even still, when I rewatched it, the scene where the scarabs like eat that first dude alive, I was like, oh my god, like this is horrible. What an awful way to go.
Oh yeah, probably all-time worst way to die in a movie. I mean that's horrifying. I mean you're wrapped up and then you're buried and then like they're eating you slowly over time. Like, yeah. So he gets cursed, which I feel like I don't know, dude. Like, why did you curse this guy? Like, it's pretty dumb. I mean, what if someone brings him back and ends the world?
Well, I think the reason that they cursed him is more so because they murdered the pharaoh, right? Like the cheating was bad, but then like they plotted to murder the pharaoh, and that was definitely like pretty uncool to do. You know what I mean? And they weren't even like really low key about it. Like they, like the priests were there, like Imhotep's priests, and they kind of don't really do anything to help or stop anybody. They're just like, the guards show up and they're like, oh, right this way. They're in here murdering the pharaoh, you know?
I know. And the priests get mummified too. I would have been like, all right, thanks for letting us in. You're cool.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like when they mummified the priests, I'm like, I thought the priests were on their side. Like,
yeah, that is weird. I didn't even think about that. Okay, then we're introduced to present day. And I gotta say, we're introduced to obviously Rick O'Connell, and then I guess he's in the French Foreign Legion. I think that's what they said.
I think Rick O'Connell's an American, but he does speak French, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they said Foreign Legion, but yeah, he is American. I don't know. Yeah, it's weird.
Dude, I had no idea at the beginning of the film when it says like 1923 or whatever it says. I had no idea this film took place in like 100 years ago. I thought it was like in the 80s or something. Like I did not realize that it was not a modern day film.
Oh, you forgot about that?
Yeah, like because I remembered the scene where they're driving off in the car, really vividly. But so in my head, like I was just like, okay, they're driving around in a car. I just assume that means it's modern day. So when it's like 1923, I'm like, where the hell are they going to get a car from? You know?
Yeah,
but movie magic.
We were introduced to Benny, who was probably like I'm thinking about this, might just be like the all-time greatest movie weasel.
Yeah,
like ever. I mean, this guy's such a piece of shit, and
I love in movies where they like tell you a character's gonna be evil by like giving him those physical traits. Like Benny has these beady eyes with like mascara around his eyes, so they look especially like sunken in, and he's got this very like you said, weaselly sort of like appearance to him, and I'm like, oh, that guy's gonna be evil. Like the second he comes on screen, you know.
Yeah,
And
he's such a piece of shit too, because like Rick's running away, and then Benny's like he's in this, I don't know, some area where he's like closing a door, and it's like, dude, like you could have waited like 2 seconds and he wouldn't have gotten there. Like,
also interesting that at different times throughout the film, Brendan Fraser wants to like casually murder Benny, and then he goes out of his way to try to save Benny. Like at the end of the film, it's like you literally threw this dude out of a boat. You tried to murder him by throwing him off the boat.
also look what he's done to you.
Yeah, and
like,
then
this guy was in
he's like, come on in.
Yeah, this guy was in cahoots with like an evil like mummy. It was
right. Like, how evil could you be? Like, this is the end of the world, and you're taking that dude's side?
Yeah, I keep thinking like, if Benny did live at the end, like, what would that conversation be like on the way back home? Like, it would be really awkward. So, like, yeah, you killed a lot of people, Benny. You really fucked us.
Yeah, there's like a whole town where they've all got boils on their fucking face now. Good job, Benny.
Yeah, what the fuck? So that I like that. That's a good scene. I like we're introduced to Evie. Oh, the bookshelf. She knocks down all those bookshelves. Jesus Christ.
You know what I thought was interesting is they introduce her like she's gonna be this like clumsy, always screwing things up character in that first scene, but then they just like from then on she's just like awesome at everything. So I thought that was weird. Like they have this thing where she like destroys this whole library, and then she's never clumsy again. Like the whole rest of the movie.
I think her arc she kind of does have an arc in this movie. I feel like so she is like very bookish. She's very smart. But like she's trying to get accepted into some university, or I don't know what it was, but they keep rejecting her because she doesn't have like enough like field experience. So I think part of her arc is like I don't know, I guess kind of going out and I don't know, having adventures and stuff, and not just being like this kind of bookworm. I don't know. I mean, she kind of has an arc. I don't know.
Yeah, they got me pretty good because like her boss in the first library scene, like I had written that down as like a huge plot hole because I forgot that the boss is like part of the secret society. So in the beginning, when she goes to her boss, she's like, "We've got this map that goes to this ancient hidden city. This map's 3,000 years old." And then the like librarian boss dude like lights the map on fire, and he's like, "Oops, oh well, that's probably for the best because the treasure's not real anyways." I was like, "This doesn't make any sense. This guy's a fucking historian, and he's cool that he just burned a 3,000-year-old map. What?"
Yeah, that's a nice surprise. Like when you do see him later in the movie, you're like, oh shit, like he's part of all this. Like he did that on purpose, and like, but yeah, that bookshelf scene, Jesus Christ, like how long would that take to clean up? Like, holy fuck, you got to close the library down. Like, I mean, that's gonna take a week.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean,
and they got it all in one take. I don't know if you saw.
I read that too. Yeah, dude, that would suck if they like, I don't know, messed up and had to do it again. Like, oh my god. I mean, it's actually kind of impressive that they were able to do that in like one take.
Yeah. Like, I think they did a lot of practical effects for that kind of stuff on set where, like, honestly, I think they did a lot of shit recklessly. Like, I was reading about Brendan Fraser almost fucking died.
Yeah, I had that for trivia. Like, he almost, they had to resuscitate him.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. What if he fucking died? Like, would you just like stop the movie? Like, what do you do?
Definitely got to stop the movie at that point. Like
I mean, like, oh my god, like they're getting sued, definitely, right? Like, like what the fuck?
Oh man, poor Brendan Fraser, man. He's been through some shit.
Yeah, didn't somebody kind of do something to him? Like one of those.
He was like sexually assaulted by like a director, and then he got like blackballed by Hollywood for like 10 years.
Yeah, he's also made some like kind of poor career decisions. Like,
well, they say he can like barely walk now because he did all his own stunts on like all of his movies for years, and he had to have several surgeries and stuff, and like apparently there was like a period of time where they were concerned he might not be able to walk right again or something.
Holy shit! I did know that he had some injuries doing these movies, but I didn't know it was like that severe.
Yeah.
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 Poor guy. Because I kind of like Brendan Fraser. Like he was like my dude in the '90s. Like I remember like I like George of the Jungle
How
a
can you
lot.
not?
That was a great movie as a kid. And then like I remember
Encino Man.
yeah, I saw that. I think I saw that once. That was funny. And then I Bedazzled was like constantly on HBO as a kid.
I love that movie.
Yeah,
Love it.
it's actually really funny. I actually really like Bedazzled.
He did this other movie a couple years later called it's called The Air I Breathe. Uh, have you seen this one?
No, I haven't heard of it. The Air I Breathe.
Yeah, so it's like Brendan Fraser, Forrest Whitaker, Sarah Michelle Gellar. Who's the name of that guy who looks like a Baldwin but isn't? I think it's like Tony Rodriguez or something.
I have no idea.
Oh, I can't think of this. I can never remember this guy's name, but he looks like a Baldwin. Anyways, basically, it's like it's like a story that follows like 5 different people, and like one dude will have his story, and then his story ends when he meets the next person, and then we'll follow that person's story. It was a really interesting movie. Brendan Fraser, his character can like see into the future briefly, I think. And he's in love with Sarah Michelle Gellar's character, who's like a famous singer, like a Britney Spears type character.
Okay.
It's an interesting film. I remember really liking it when I was like 14 or whatever, but I had no idea if it would hold up today.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to check it out. Then we're introduced to John. I love Jonathan. Jonathan is like hilarious.
He is.
But yeah, he scares Evie, and my whole question was like, how long were you like waiting in that tomb? Like
Under a skeleton.
Yeah, like how long were you there, dude?
Yeah, Jonathan is like awful. Like the entire movie, he serves no purpose, and it's not until the very, very end that he gets to help, just like the slightest bit.
He's a comedic relief.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. He is kind of worthless.
Yeah, like he does nothing but like get in everybody's way at like every step of the journey. Like even at the end when they're like getting ready to get out, and then he's like, "Oh, look at these emeralds! Time to steal some jewels." I'm like, "No, you idiot!"
Yeah. Also, he's a piece of shit because he's like, "Come on, put your back into it. Come on, take this one off the top." And then they just like look at him like he's like, "All right, carry on." Yeah, he is kind of worthless. I guess you don't really have to have him in this movie, but I don't know. He's welcome comedic relief, I think.
I agree. No, he works well. It's just that his character is you love to hate him because he just really gets in the way at like every step.
Well, I remember when I saw this in the theaters and like that scarab like went like up his arm. I was like freaking out. Like, no, don't kill Jonathan.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, how is he gonna get out of this? And then he does like the knife trick.
Brendan Fraser's all super cool. He's like
Brendan Fraser's fucking badass in this movie. Like he's so fucking cool.
Honestly, he seems like he was born to be like an action hero. You know what I mean? He's just got that vibe.
And I don't know why Brendan Fraser didn't do more movies of this caliber. Like I don't know. I think he's a funny guy, but like I don't know. I think he should have done more like action roles.
Well, I mean, let's not forget about his most iconic role, Looney Tunes Back in Action.
Oh
I mean,
God,
come on.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. I've never seen that. Is that a good movie?
I saw like half of it, and it's really, really bad. Okay. Really bad. And I love Brendan Fraser, and it's bad.
So I guess, also too, Jonathan, it's revealed that he fucking stole the key from Brendan Fraser. So yeah, I guess like so that they go to see him in prison or whatever, and then it's hey, do I know you? And it's like then you find out like Jonathan. You thought that Jonathan like found this in a dig, but he really just pickpocketed.
Which Fraser. They never explained. Like, why was Jonathan in an Arabic prison in the first place, and how did he get out?
I think he was at a. I think it's how I took it was like he ran into him at like a bar and saw the key and took it from Brendan Fraser. Then I don't know why Brendan Fraser's in the prison. Like that's not clear. I guess I don't know. Maybe he was like in a bar fight or something. I don't know. It's not really clear. But But I kind of like this scene. Like the guy's like, any last requests? And he's like, yeah, like loosen the knot and let me go. And like the dude that's about to pull the lever, he's like, what?
He
Maybe
like looks up at his boss, like, should I do it, boss? What? Like, no, don't do that.
Yeah. Also, too, like the warden's an idiot because they're like negotiating. He's like 20, 10, 20, 40, 30, 25. He like went down on his deal.
Yeah, that was great.
No, that's great. Yeah, the boat scene's amazing.
We haven't even talked about Rachel Weisz yet, by the way. How, first of all, she's a great actress. She's great in everything she's been in. But second of all, she is so beautiful. She is hot. Yes, I'm a huge Rachel Weisz fan.
Yeah, this was kind of, I feel like, her big breakout. I feel like
probably was. Yeah, she just won an Oscar a couple of years. I think she was in one of those Daniel Day-Lewis movies.
Was it The Favorite? I can't remember.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. But yeah, she's like super. Now she's very like critically acclaimed actress and all that stuff. She wouldn't piddle around with something like The Mummy now.
Well, she didn't come back for the third Mummy.
Oh, that's right. They replaced
her. Yeah, like Rachel Weisz was like, I'm too good for this shit.
It was probably like Maggie Gyllenhaal or something.
It was Maria Bello replaced her. I don't know if you're familiar with that actress.
Not off the top of my head.
I mean, it was so. I hate recastings in movies, and it was just like it just wasn't the same.
Yeah, it rarely is. The only time it kind of worked was in Batman when Maggie Gyllenhaal replaced Katie Holmes. Because Katie Holmes already kind of sucked.
You know, it's funny. Like Molly has been rewatching Dawson's Creek randomly, and yeah, boy, she is annoying. I didn't think she was that bad in Batman Begins. But it's so, we're going on a tangent here, but it's so funny to me. Like they offered her the part to return for The Dark Knight, but she said no. She turned it down to be in Mad Money, starring Queen Latifah and some other actress.
Bad career move.
Like why? Like you could have been in one of the biggest movies of all time, but you turned it down for a Queen Latifah comedy that nobody remembers. You don't even remember that movie, do you? Exactly.
No. By the way, to go back to the boat scene, something that I thought was hilarious that I noted during the boat scene, apparently, well, first of all, they want you to think that those dudes are all bad guys, but actually those guys are the good guys. The guys who are attacking them on the boat, they're trying to prevent them from releasing the mummy.
I do like that kind of, I like that kind of misdirection. Like, that's kind of cool. Like, you kind of find out later, like, what they're all about.
And also, apparently, those guys' blood is made of gasoline because every time they throw one of those guys into a fire, they explode into flames. Like, I don't know if you noticed that, but, like, Brendan Fraser, like, shoves some guy into a room, and all of a sudden, flames just shoot out of the windows. I'm like, when did that guy explode when he went in there? Like,
well, I love when Jonathan like runs in. He's like, Evie, and he just bumps, and the guy just falls into the big fucking flame. Like, that's hilarious.
There was some really good slapstick sort of like some slapstick comedy that was mixed in with some of the fight scenes. Like, there was some good like eye pokes and things like that. You know.
Well, my favorite scene. Well, I guess my favorite scene within this scene is like when he's like reloading his gun and like they keep shooting next to him and then the bullet holes keep getting closer and closer to him.
Yeah.
And she just like yanks him away at the last minute. Like, that was funny. But those dual pistols, I mean, Jesus, that's so fucking cool. I mean, like,
which, by the way, magically, like, Jonathan throws the pistols at the mummies chasing them later on in the movie.
Yeah.
And then Brendan Fraser has them again. I'm like, oh, well, how many guns does this guy have?
I think Brendan Fraser did for dual pistols what Indiana Jones did for whips.
Probably, yeah.
That's a very specific comparison, but yeah. Also, too, like, Benny's such a piece of shit. We find out Benny is like helping the Americans, and I do like when they first meet, and he's like, "Don't hurt me. Think of my children." He's like, "You don't have any children. Someday I might."
Yeah.
Well, I love this. Is like
very funny.
This is a meme. This has been a meme when they're like on the beach after the ship sinks, He's like, looks to me like I have all the horses. Looks to me like you're on the wrong side of the river.
Yeah. Vinny's such a sad sack, but like in an evil way, so you don't feel bad for him. You know what I mean? You just love to see the suffering. It's great.
Yeah. Oh, it's great too. And then like, they get the horses, and then like I guess they race to Hamanaptra, and I love, we get a little bit of the racism, like what's that smell, and like the stinky Arab, and he's like eating chicken randomly.
Oh, and then they have, because the thing is, they keep comparing the dude to the camel, because like the camel's sitting there and he's like spitting and chewing and blah blah blah, and they're like, oh, what a disgusting creature. And then the camera pans over and it's the dude doing the exact same thing, like chewing up and spitting, and then they have like this exaggerated like ugh sort of react. And they're like, yeah, we get it, right? He's a gross, disgusting dude like a camel, you know?
Yeah. Well, I also like it how like Benny keeps slapping Rick, and then he just like fucking slaps him and he falls off his horse.
I think we all know a Benny in real life, a guy who like when they're like one-on-one, Benny is like such a little bitch where he's like, yes, please don't hurt me, Mr. O'Connell or whatever. And then like, when they're on the other side of the river, Benny's talking pure cash shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's like always talking shit whenever he gets a chance to, but as soon as it's one-on-one, he turns into like a little fucking eel. He's like, ooh, please, Mr. O'Connell.
My next note, so they arrive at Hamanaptra, and then we get the scarab attack, which is probably has not really aged well, that effect. Like, I don't know, the scarab's going up his skin, and it looks so animated, and it looks pretty shitty.
Okay, so one of the scarab scenes that it made no sense to me whatsoever, drove me crazy. So
I think I know what you're talking about, but go on.
The scarabs chase all three of them, and they're running up the thing, and then Brendan Fraser and Jonathan jump left, and Evie jumps right, and that's when she goes through the trap door.
Yeah.
So they jump over to where Evie was, and they're searching for the trap door, and then the scarabs start coming back down, and instead of staying on the ledge that they know is safe from the scarabs, they jump back onto the bridge in the middle to run from the scarabs. I'm like, just stay where you're at, guys. Like, they can't get there. That makes no sense to me.
Yeah, that made no sense. But also, too, there's a guy who falls down and gets like picked apart by the scarabs. But then they make a point early on saying like they slowly digest you over years and years. Yeah, but this guy's just, it looked cool as fuck. So I'm not really complaining. But that was kind of a plot hole. I was like, well, wait a minute. I thought they said that it takes a while. I don't know.
Well, different scarabs, man. Those scarabs were way hungrier. You know what I mean?
I do like when they like just kind of going into that scene. I do like when they like resurrect the mummy and like they're all trying to run away, which makes no sense to me. Like, I guess they wanted to get away from the locust, but then they like, instead of leaving, they just go back into the pyramids and stuff. That was weird.
Yeah. By the way, something that we haven't talked about that looks so cool, the scenes where the sand becomes like the mummy's face and stuff like that, all looks so cool, man.
Now, which one? The fan?
Where the sand, like when the sand is chasing them, and then you see the mummy's face in the sand, or like when they're in the airplane and the mummy's face tries to swallow the airplane with the sand. Those scenes are so cool, man.
Oh, that was fucking cool. But I actually I like when they resurrect the mummy, and then like they're kind of running away, and then the guy drops his glasses, and he can't see, and he's just kind of like walking around trying to feel, he's trying to get out of there. But a creepy scene was kind of like when it's like his vision's blurry, and you kind of see in the background just like kind of like a brief glimpse of like the figure of the mummy, and I thought that was like kind of a creepy scene. I thought that was like really cool.
Although that scene kind of, again, like, that's the thing about this movie, and like a part of the reason why the critics hated it is like they were not ashamed to just make the characters do dumb things in order to fit the plot, which I respect it. Because like that guy, he's running from a mummy. He just saw a living fucking mummy, right? Or whatever the hell he saw that scared the shit out of him. He's gone, right? And he drops his fucking glasses, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, I don't need to run anymore. I'm just going to sit here and cower on the ground and search around for my glasses. Like, fuck that, dude. I can get a new goddamn pair of glasses when I get back to America, bro. I'm gone. You're not gonna eat me alive. I mean, straight up.
Also, too, like he's got to have like the worst. I mean, if I lose my glasses, I'll still be able to see like in front of me.
Exactly. Like, brother,
damn,
like,
dude, you are like blind.
Like you turned into like a fucking feeble baby as soon as your glasses fell off, or you're like crawling around on the floor like Velma. You know what I mean?
So I like that scene. Like, yeah, then he like takes his eyes out, takes his tongue out. But I love the scene where like I guess the mummy thinks like Evie is like a Noxuna Moon.
I was trying to figure that out. Like, I don't know if he thinks that that's her or he just sees that it's a woman and he's like, oh, I can bring back a Noxuna Moon because you're a woman and now I've got a woman.
Also, too, I was kind of thinking about this. And maybe one day I'll do a full-length episode on The Mummy Returns because that got mixed reviews too. But in that movie, we learn that she is like the reincarnated daughter of the pharaoh. So that means Imhotep has met her before. I mean, it's not really a plot hole in this movie, but like, do you remember that in The Mummy Returns? So like, I was like,
a long time since I saw Mummy Returns, but I think I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah. So like, it was such a dumb subplot. Like that's like one of the things I hate about that movie. But it's like, yeah, he's like an Noxuna. It's like, no, motherfucker, you know who that is.
Yeah.
Which like, I'm not gonna hold it against this movie because obviously like this was the first one and they probably didn't even plan on doing a sequel. Honestly, this could have just been like its own movie. You didn't really need to make the sequels, but
I like the first sequel. I'm glad.
I like Mummy Returns. Is a blast, but it is like not a great movie. But I just thought.
I'm sorry. It has the greatest actor of all time, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. So I'd appreciate it if you'd hold your tongue. Please.
So are you a big Rock guy?
No, I'm kidding. I mean,
I don't like The Rock. I think he's a good actor. I just think he's been in shitty movies.
I think he's fine. Like, yeah. I think he's been really good in some things. Like, I think he's better when he's trying to play exaggerated, ridiculous characters than when he's trying to play normal characters. Like, his best, like, character, in my opinion, is probably from The Other Guys, where he's like this over-the-top, pretty boy cop character who just does really dumb things. And he's like a cool guy asshole or whatever.
Yeah.
But when he's trying to do real acting, it doesn't really... You can't play anybody other than The Rock. You just can't.
Yeah, I've never really been a big Rock guy. But going back to that scene, I love this happens like 3 times in the movie, but I love how like Rick just like the mummy screams at him, and he's just like, whoa, and it just like shoots him. That's really funny.
Oh, when he like screams back at the mummy.
Yeah, he like screams back at he's just like that's his thing. He just like anything that makes a loud noise, he just screams back at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my next point, I guess they go to that city after all that.
Yeah.
And I thought this was kind of creepy, was like that the guy who lost his eyes and tongue, he's like sitting there on the chair, and then the mummy's like right next to him, and he's got this like creepy mask, he's got these robes. And then later, like we see his like I guess his sucked out corpse like on the ground. Like, I don't know. Like, I think there's some creepy imagery in this movie. Like,
but another thing, not to sit here and nitpick every single scene in the movie, but that scene, I was laughing so hard because, okay, that dude had his eyes ripped out, right? He can't see what's going on. So the guy tells him, like, oh, well, my master took your eyes already and your tongue, and now he's going to take some more or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So the guy doesn't start screaming then. He just sits there and he's like, ooh, ooh, ooh. And then the mummy, we see the mummy, because we have eyes, pulls his mask off. And as the mask comes off, that's when the guy screams. But he doesn't have eyes. How the fuck does he know that the mummy just took his mask off?
That's a good. I didn't even think about that. Wow. Yeah.
Like literally, you see the mummy go like this, and then you just hear, ah! Like, okay, he just was holding his scream until he heard the mummy take his mask off. Like,
yeah, no. Well, I love like so we to kind of backtrack, like they do establish that like if you, I guess what those jars, I guess if you open up those jar, what are the jars? I didn't figure that out.
I didn't really understand that either. They kind of just brushed over it. They're like sacred jars of some kind that I guess are required for him to reincarnate or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So I guess the sacred jars, if you open up that thing with the sacred jars, and the mummy comes back, he'll like basically suck out your soul to regenerate. I love all the regeneration scenes are like fucking awesome.
Yeah.
There's that one where it's like the I guess the kind of professor guy that's with the Americans. Like there's that really cool shot where like you hear a scream and like Jonathan and Rick are like looking outside the window and it pans to like this. It's like a haunting image. Like he's just like he turns and like he's got like he's a little bit more regenerated, but he still looks gross and like pieces of his cheek are like fucking hanging out and like
yeah.
Like I don't know. And then you see at the bottom like that dried out corpse. I don't know. It was just like a really cool image, very haunting. And then like he opens up his mouth wide and all these like flies come out. Like that is just like something from a nightmare, and I love it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The way that they do all the plagues, like I think they do a really good job of making each of those plagues pretty terrifying in their own right. But definitely the locusts are like, or the flies. I mean, swarm of flies are the worst.
Oh yeah. Also too, we get a meteor shower. That's crazy. The meteor shower. Yeah, we get like the blood, I guess, like in the fountain and stuff. I don't think they say there's 10 plagues. I think they only did like 3 or 4 of them, but still.
Well, let's see. They do the rivers run red with blood. They do the people who have the plague, like the boils or whatever.
Right. The eclipse, I think.
Yep. They do the locusts. They do the flies.
Yep. Meteor shower. Yeah, so they do a bunch of them.
Huh.
The plagues are cool. Yeah, and then the regeneration, like, and then the other guy, like, there's like that cool shot where like he comes in through the window. And like you can see the silhouette of him, just like his soul just being sucked out, and his corpse is just like a skeleton. Like that was a really cool scene.
Oh yeah.
Also, another scene I love that he's like the Imhotep's afraid of cats.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite. I think it's the funniest part of the movie, where he's like, I guess he's like kissing Evie, and then he's like, oh, "Look what I got!" Ooh, it's like a cat, and he just like that. That's hilarious.
Oh, I actually the thing I liked about that scene a lot, I thought that him turning into sand and like pouring himself through the keyhole was a really cool effect.
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah, that was cool. The villagers, I guess the people with boils on them. And like, I love when Jonathan, I guess they're like trying to figure out like where to go and like what they need to do to defeat the mummy. I guess they have to like get the book, Book of Ra or something.
The Book of Death, I think.
Yeah, something like that. So they have to like go back to Hamunaptra, I guess. But I love when he's like getting the car ready, and it's like all those like people are like Imhotep, and he like runs into him, and then he just starts acting like a zombie. And,
yeah,
I honestly. Why don't people do that more in movies? Like
another scene that you just made me think of that was hilarious that like they kind of brushed by is like when the mummy first meets Benny, and Benny is like he's like starts saying the Christian prayer.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh nope, that didn't work. Oh, I better try another one. And he starts digging through his necklaces and he finds like he's like, oh, let me do the Muslim prayer. He's like, oh no, okay, let me try another one again. You know what I mean?
Why does he have all those jewels, or why does he have all those necklaces?
Because that's typical slimy Benny. He's ready to suck up to anybody if he gets into any kind of mess. You know what I mean? And also typical Benny to hedge his bets and just be like, oh, I'll be a little bit of every religion, so I'll make it into heaven no matter what. Like that's Benny, right?
Yeah. I didn't even think about that. Like, that kind of doesn't really make a lot of sense. But I mean,
he thinks he can get one over on God. He's like, yeah, whichever one's right, I'll be there. You know?
Yeah. One day there's gonna be a mummy who might kill me, but if I have the right religion, I'll be safe.
Well, I'm convinced that like I messaged you this the other day. 10 years from now, there's gonna be like an original cast remake of the first Mummy, like a Halloween type sequel.
You think so?
There's got to be, because that film is just too much of a cult classic at this point, and I'm excited to see if Benny's in it.
I always thought they should have resurrected him for Mummy Returns.
Is he not in Mummy Returns?
He's not in Mummy Returns. Like, I don't know. I thought like Imhotep might have like resurrected him. Like, this is like my my assistant or whatever. Like, I don't know. Like,
Because they don't actually show Benny die. It's just heavily implied. You know what I mean?
well, yeah, it's true. He could still be alive. Those screams could have just been from fear, not death.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Hey, look, nothing else about the plot makes that much sense. So we can just do whatever we want.
Also, I was thinking about this. So Imhotep takes Evie, and like they have to go down that like sewer hole, and like the Egyptologist guy or the whatever Evie's boss just starts like slashing him with the sword. I'm like, you didn't have to. You could have lived.
Yeah, he's like, come on. And then he's like, go, I'll stay, save Evie or whatever. Like, all right, bro, you just want to die. Oh, speaking of wanting to die, what about that general character dude, the British guy who's part of the Royal Forces?
Yeah.
The pilot? What a great character, man. Like, he just wants to die.
He's barely in the movie, but like even he kind of has like a little bit of an arc. Like he was like, I guess fought in World War I, but like, he never got to have a glorious death. So that's a great scene. Yeah, like that whole scene, like we mentioned earlier, like with the sand, the face in the sand, like that's impressive.
Another thing that I thought was weird though is like, so they say he fought in World War I. This movie takes place in like the 1920s.
26, I think.
26? Okay. So like how's this guy 70 years old and he was in a war that was 8 years ago? Like, what is going on?
I don't know what their standards were for the military, like the age limits back then. I don't know. It's fine.
Maybe those years in the war were really rough on him. He just aged really quickly.
Yeah, right. But yeah, like that's a good scene. Yeah, he gets his nice glorious death. I do love when like they're on the wings of the plane, Jonathan and that other guy. I forget his name. They don't even say his name. The
Magi, I think they call him.
Yeah, the Magi.
He's really good. He's actually an interesting character. Like, I want to know more about those guys.
They kind of expand upon it in Mummy Returns. He actually has like a lot more to do in Mummy Returns. But yeah, I like how they're just like chilling on the wing of the plane, and like Brendan Fraser's just like
looking terrified.
How you doing? Yeah, like they're shaking. Like, oh, that whole scene is great. Like, yeah, with that sandstorm, like, that's good. Let's see what else I got here. Yeah. So we arrived to back to Hamunaptra, and yeah, I mean, basically the rest of the movie is like, yeah, they rescue Evie, and then Jonathan reads from the Book of the Death, and then kills them.
Which, by the way, Jonathan has no sense of urgency while he's trying to read this stuff. He's like running from the mummy, and he's like, "Huh, oh my God, that is what it says. Isn't that funny?" It's like, shut up and read it, Jonathan.
Yeah, she's like, it's a bird, it's a stork, and he's like, oh, I see. It's like, bro, urgency, please.
Yeah, right. Like, just at least act like you care a little bit here,
They copy that exact scene in Mummy Returns. It's like beat for beat. Like, Jonathan, it's like the same situation. Or no, it's reversed. Like, instead of Evie fighting the mummy, Jonathan is, and then the kid is reading the book, and Jonathan's like, oh, it's a bird, it's a stork, Mummy Returns is like a beat for beat, like, carbon copy. It is like, if you go back and watch that movie, it is like beat for beat the same movie. Like, they copy so many scenes from the first movie. It's very
I remember the opening scene where like the little kid does something that like floods the chamber that they're in or something, and they have to get out, right?
Yeah.
I enjoyed the little kid in the sequel. Like, it had been so long since I saw The Mummy that I had forgotten that they didn't have a kid already in the first one. Like, I thought the kid was already there, so it felt weird him not being there.
Yeah. I do. Well, I kind of get an Army of Darkness vibe from like when he's like fighting the mummies, like and saving Evie. Like, I don't know. I love it. And then like those, I guess like, so he fights like, I guess Imhotep's priest, And then there's these other guys that I guess Jonathan accidentally brings to life. I guess that those were like what, the Pharaoh's guards or something.
Yeah, I think that's what they were supposed to be, like the guys who caught them in the first place, maybe.
Yeah, well, those things are kind of like scary. Like,
Yeah.
also again, I love when like they yell at him, or he yells at them first, and then they just like whoa, and like their mouths just drop like really wide, and like yeah, no, those things are intense. Like yeah, they're really creepy.
Oh, you know what I thought was cool? A very subtle thing that they did is that the first time that Anaxuna Moon gets killed, they don't actually show it. They show her shadow getting killed. And then when she dies the second time, they do the same thing, where they don't actually show her being killed. They show her shadow being stabbed or whatever.
Yeah, no, I like that. Also, Imhotep gets his arm chopped off. I mean, that was kind of gruesome. This is like a PG-13, and they like did that. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and then
I love how he picks it up.
Like,
yeah, no, that's awesome. And then yeah, I mean, then he dies. He gets his like powers taken away. And I mean, the movie pretty much wraps up. Benny has a great death.
For sure.
I was also thinking about this. He's getting so he's trying to take the bags of gold on them, put it on the camel, and he goes back and forth. Why is there a lever that just instantly destroys this city? That makes no sense.
And why is it in the middle of nowhere? It's not like even, it's just like a random lever on a wall. It's not like it's like, you know, in the middle of a room, like, you know, in some important place. It's just like he happens to put his bag on this one lever, you know?
Yeah. And then he dies. It's great. Just like the biggest swarm of scarabs ever.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Oh, those things freak me out, man.
And then and then they ride off into the sunset. And they don't know this, but they have a big bag of gold on the camel.
Yeah, which I believe that's Benny's gold, right?
It's Benny's gold. So Benny actually helped him out. Which kind of explains why they had that big mansion in Mummy Returns.
Yeah, for sure. Plus, aren't they like famous by then? Aren't they like big archaeologists or whatever?
Yeah. He's not much of an archaeologist. I think he's just like she's pretty much an archaeologist. I don't think he really is. I think he's just like along for the ride. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much the movie. Anything else to add?
Oh man, let's see. I don't know. I think that's we hit all the big stuff, all the good scenes. I mean, great fight scenes. You know, honestly, everything. I thought Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz had really good chemistry.
Yes, absolutely.
They definitely seemed like they were actually attracted to each other. Let's see. One note that I had was when Imhotep comes back to life fully and he's like all chiseled and stuff.
Yeah.
I wrote down Mummy, more like Daddy. You know what I mean? But that's pretty much all I had.
Nice. I like that note. I got some trivia. I got some pretty interesting trivia. We already went over Brendan Fraser almost died. That's intense to even think about. Like, holy shit. Like, I think he stopped breathing. Like, that is fucking terrifying.
Crazy.
Also, Leonardo DiCaprio was rumored to have been offered the role of Rick O'Connell. And it is, I don't know how true this is. It's a rumor. And it's believed DiCaprio loved the script and wanted to do the movie, but he had already agreed to star in The Beach.
I gotta say,
I like The Beach.
I love Leonardo DiCaprio. I love him in almost everything he's in, but I don't think that the movie would have been nearly the same without Brendan Fraser.
No, I think it worked out perfectly. I think Brendan Fraser is probably his best movie. I don't know. Would we say that best movie for Brendan?
I don't know, man. I think Encino Man is kind of like such a classic for him, and God, I don't know. I also really, really love Bedazzled. He gets to show a lot of his range in Bedazzled. He really does.
Yeah, Bedazzled's underrated. Like I think everybody, like critics hated that movie, but I think it's fucking hilarious.
Well, and Elizabeth Hurley is
Oh my god,
scorching.
that was peak Elizabeth Hurley hotness.
Yeah,
I would say.
Did that and like Austin Powers within like a couple years of each other.
Also, some other actors considered. Tom Cruise, which is ironic because he would end up doing a Mummy movie. Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Chris O'Donnell, Matthew McConaughey. Also, Bruce Campbell, which is interesting. Kurt Russell. And then supposedly, this is what according to IMDb trivia, the role was offered to Sylvester Stallone. I'm going to say that was, Jesus Christ, that would have been a disaster.
That would have been a dumpster fire. Out of all those names you just named, the one that stood out to me was Matt Damon. I don't even like Matt Damon that much, but I feel like he could have been a pretty good Rick O'Donnell.
So
or O'Connor or whatever.
I think I think Sylvester Stallone would have been hilarious. Like, hey, it looks to me like I got all the horses. I don't know.
Looks to me like you're on the wrong side of the river.
Oh my god, like he's screaming at the moment.
Yo, Adrian.
Yo, easy. Yo, easy. Okay. I think Bruce Campbell I would have loved because like I said, I when he's fighting those mummies and like saving Evie, like I'm kind of getting an Army of Darkness vibe. So I think Bruce Campbell would have been very interesting. Probably he's always been kind of like a B movie kind of guy. Maybe he wasn't a big enough star. Kurt Russell, I would have loved. I think the thing is, Kurt Russell and Bruce Campbell, I think they were probably a little too old for the part at that point.
I think Kurt Russell, I
don't think he could bring the
comedy. I don't think he could bring the comedic elements.
Well, he was in Big Trouble in Little China. I mean, that's essentially kind of Rick O'Donnell. Kind of a little bit. He can play that kind of like suave, like kind of cocky actor.
Yeah.
Like honestly, like that's kind of the character of a little bit of O'Connell in that movie. He would have been good. I think he's probably a little too old at that point. He's probably like, because he's like 70 now, I think. Probably would have been in his mid-late 40s. So, man, I don't know. Bruce Campbell, like I said, would have been good. I don't know. My bet would have been Bruce Campbell or Kurt Russell.
McConaughey would have been the weirdest one.
He wasn't Sahara, so I don't know. Like, there's...
I don't know, man. I don't think McConaughey could do that, but I don't. Maybe he could. You know.
Ben Affleck, no.
Ugh, that would have been awful.
Chris O'Donnell, no. Yeah, I don't know. I'm glad it worked out the way it did. Brendan Fraser, perfect. Leonardo DiCaprio would have been interesting. I don't know. I think he could have done it.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Apparently, Clive Barker. Are you familiar with Clive Barker? The guy who did Hellraiser?
Yeah, sorry. Clive Barker directed Hellraiser, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. He was actually attached to direct at one point.
Interesting.
And it would have been set in modern day. And I guess it would have the story would have revolved around the head of a contemporary art museum who turns out to be a cultist trying to reanimate mummies. That's interesting. Also, George A. Romero at one point was considered to direct.
I think that would have been awesome.
Yeah, apparently it was going to be kind of similar to it was good. Obviously, it was going to have like a Night of the Living Dead vibe. And then Joe Dante, who directed Gremlins and Gremlins 2 and your favorite Looney Tunes Back in Action. It's coming full circle.
Yeah, that's right.
He at one point was going to direct, which I know you're a Daniel Day-Lewis fan. Daniel Day-Lewis is going to play the Mummy.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Well, that's what I mean. That's according to IMDb.
Oh my. Okay. First of all, as much of a method actor as Daniel Day-Lewis is, I can't even imagine how you begin to get in character as the Mummy. Like, would he just sleep in a tomb for 6 months or something? Like,
I can't see Daniel Day-Lewis doing like a movie like this. Like he seems like kind of like a, I don't know, like smaller project kind of guy. I don't think he's not a blockbuster guy.
He's done I would say Gangs of New York was kind of a blockbuster, right?
Yeah, but also like that's like kind of like, you know, he's like a character. He's also like kind of a character actor too. I mean,
Oh, for sure, yeah.
it would have been interesting. I don't know. Let's see what else I got here. Let's see. Oh, okay. This is my last one, and it's fucking hilarious. So, the guy who played the warden. Okay, so during the filming of the scene with Scarab crawling under his skin, the actor I can't even pronounce his name, chose not to wear underwear for some reason. As a result, his genitals kept falling out of his pants during takes as he was writhing in pain. The editor had to cut around the unintentional nudity as much as possible. However, if you watch the scene closely, you can still see some of the unintended nudity on screen for a few frames during one shot as he is screaming, "Help me," and grabbing at his pants. So apparently you see a little bit of his balls and dong.
Wow.
I'm going to go back after this and see if I can find it. I'll let you know.
Please do. Please. You know where to reach me. That's hilarious.
Why did he not wear underwear?
I don't know. Like that's be intentional.
I guess if you're in the desert, I guess it's hot. Maybe you just don't want to wear underwear. I don't know.
No. I mean, they actually shot it in the middle of the desert too, didn't they?
I'm sure they did. Yeah.
I think I remember reading that that it was one of the first films to whatever desert they shot that in. It was like the first film to ever be made in that desert or whatever.
Whoa. Okay. Nice.
I think I could be wrong. That could be bullshit.
No, it makes sense. I mean, nothing seemed like. Well, I guess close up. I'm sure like exterior stuff they probably shot in the desert. That when the Hamanoptera does look like it could have been like on a sound stage. Yeah, it feels very set like, but I'm sure like they probably had like filmed exterior stuff. I don't know though. Interesting. All right, so let's do categories. What is your best scene of the movie?
Best scene of the movie is probably I'm gonna say the man, that's tough. I'm gonna say the boat scene.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm cheating here. I like all the stuff with like the Americans getting their lives sucked out.
Oh, you know what? I changed my mind. It's gonna be the scene where he is trying to pack their suitcase while she's unpacking their suitcase.
Yeah.
And it's like very like Abbott and Costello, sort of like, you know, oh, here we go. Oh, you know, like, or almost like Three Stooges. Yeah. You know what I mean? That scene was great.
No, that was really good. Yeah, I kind of like how they're just doing stuff while they're talking. I mean, it's a very interesting scene. It could have been like a flat, kind of boring scene, but they made it interesting doing it.
Yeah.
They did. I don't know. Any one of the regeneration scenes is great. Actually, yeah. I think when the first guy gets sucked up, I like that. I just like like they walk in and like you see his dried up corpse and then he's just like regenerating and then he shoots at him. I like that scene a lot. So that's good. What is the worst scene of the movie? I don't know if I can answer this one because I love the whole movie.
Scene of the movie. The worst scene is and that's tough.
I don't know if I can do it. I don't like. To me, there's not a bad scene in this movie.
Maybe I don't know. Yeah, I think it's all pretty good. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I don't think I can answer this. I might have to pass.
I think I might have to pass too.
Yeah, no, there's not a bad scene in this movie for me. Is there like a good quote or the best quote or something that comes to mind?
Definitely the looks like you're on the wrong side of the.
That's what I was gonna go with that. I think that's mine.
Yeah. And I mean, there's some like kind of cutesy but kind of cringy dialogue between you know, between Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz, like like there's what is the thing where she's like, "Why did you kiss me?" He's like, "I was dying. I wanted to kiss a pretty girl," or something like
No,
that.
I love that. That scene is awesome. I fucking love it. Like, dude, that guy's a pimp. He's like, I'm about to die. I don't. I just wanted to get some puss.
It's like kind of cutesy, but like kind of cheesy at the same time. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. At the end, it's like, oh, we came home empty-handed again, which is weird. Jonathan says that. Yeah, he's like, well, Jonathan says that, which is weird because Jonathan, like, you've never gone out with these two on an adventure before, so that's one.
That's true.
Also, yeah, Brendan Fraser's like, I wouldn't say that, and then he kisses her. I don't know. That, I mean, kind of cheesy, sure, but dude, kind of a pimp move on Fraser.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm gonna go with looks to me like you're on the wrong side of the river. And best unintentional comedic moment. I don't know if there's an unintentional comedic moment.
Oh, there definitely were. Let's see. I would say for me, like there was definitely some unintentional comedy in Imhotep. Like that guy was so overacted. Like where he's like got this like facial expression on that's so over the top all the time. And every scene where he's like trying to be serious or whatever, I don't know, man. I could not stop laughing. And also the scene where Anck-su-namun gets brought back to life.
Yeah.
And she's like, it's like literally looks like that little girl from the Sia music videos. You know, there's like 12-year-old girl who's in all of Sia's music videos.
Yeah.
It looks like they just covered her up in a bunch of rags. I was like, here, have at it. You know what I mean?
I just thought of one. Okay, you know when he's like creating the sandstorm with the face, and so you see the face and like they're shooting at it, and then it cuts back to what Imhotep's doing, and it's like he's like his facial like
yes.
It looks like he's sucking a dick.
That is a great unintentional comedic scene. We're like, really? Is this how this works? That's what you have to do? You
It's
have
so
to act
funny.
out what
Like,
your face is doing?
he's like gyrating his body and like opening his mouth wide. Like that made me laugh like this this last rewatch. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna go with. Best performance. I think it's gotta be Brendan.
It's gotta be Brendan Fraser.
I think this is his best movie, personally. I know you like Encino Man. Yeah, I don't know. He had done comedies. I don't know. He just plays a good badass. I don't know. Like, he's so perfectly cast.
No, I agree. Perfect casting. Honestly, perfect casting pretty much all around in this film. Like, Jonathan and Evie are both perfect as well. The dude who plays the leader of the Magi, he's great. So, great casting.
Yeah, Benny, like I said, all time. I don't know that actor's name. I think it's Kevin J.
O'Connell.
Yeah, something like that.
O'Connor.
I mean, like I said, one of the all-time. I mean, he's got to be top 5 all-time movie weasels. I mean, for real.
Yeah, you got like Wormtail from Harry Potter.
Yeah. And isn't there a worm tongue in Lord of the Rings?
Yeah. And he's also a Weasley character.
Yeah, worm tongue, worm tail. That's confusing. Yeah, I mean, it's like those two and then Benny. Like, I mean, they're like neck and neck.
And all three of those characters are like made to look as evil as humanly possible. Like the guy in Lord of the Rings, they give him black hair and black lips, and he's like, "Oh, King, everyone hates you. Trust me." You know.
Yeah, I don't know. Great performances all around. And then my last category, worst performance. I don't know. Maybe the Mummy, but I don't even think it's his fault because I just don't think he's given a lot to do.
The problem is he can just never be Billy Zane, no matter how badly he wants to be. You know.
Yeah, maybe Billy Zane should have been the Mummy.
Honestly, I think he should have. Like, I'm curious. Like, okay, I don't know about this, and I meant to look this up before this pod, but I forgot. Are there any, like, all of the cast is white, right? They just put like bronzer on the skin of a bunch of white people, right?
Well, the warden is
Right.
But he's Arab. I don't know.
But I mean, I think the guy who plays the mummy, the guy who plays the Magi, and Benny, I think are all just white dudes who they just like put a bunch of bronzer and stuff on their skin.
So I think the mummy is African. I think I
Oh,
looked
is he?
it up. I don't know. God, his name escapes me. Arnold Vosloo is the actor's name.
Okay, yeah, no, I don't know.
He's like that guy. He's popped up in some stuff. I think he was like one of the bad guys in an early season of 24. I don't know if you ever watched 24.
No. Not really, but I'm familiar with it. You know.
Yeah, he kind of shows up here and there. I think he was in Blood Diamond, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I don't think he's like a bad actor. It's just like, yeah, the Mummy, like for a movie called The Mummy kind of gets shortchanged. Like he's not. I think like Billy Zane, like to go back to Billy Zane, like I feel like Billy Zane, like he was in the biggest movie of all time, and he just never like did any. Like I don't know. After Titanic, it was like his career was over. It's so odd because I think he's great in that movie.
But everybody still knows who he is,
right? Yeah. But
partially because he's got a name that's hard to forget. You know.
Yeah, a great name, Billy Zane. I don't know. I think he would have like added some more charisma to the role.
Yeah, and more like because the other thing that was interesting to me is like, okay, at the beginning of the film, it's kind of implied that like they're justified in killing the pharaoh, right? Because she's like, I'm not going to be your slave any longer or whatever.
Yeah,
and they kill the pharaoh. So it's kind of like a heroic love story thing. So you think like, oh well, when they get brought back, maybe like I thought maybe like, oh, it'll be like, oh, he's a bad guy, but he's actually a good guy who just does bad things or whatever. Like, no, the mummy's just like straight up evil once he gets brought back to life. You know what I mean?
yeah, very one dimensional. Yeah, kind of talking this out. Yeah, the Mummy is kind of like the actual character of the Mummy is kind of disappointing. Well, actually, I was reading trivia. I think it was Joe Dante. One of the early drafts. It was going to be like kind of a fish out of water story. Like, he gets brought back to life and suddenly he's like in this new world. You could have played more on that. Like, he is in a different time period. He's in the 1920s with like cars and planes and like all these guns. Like, I mean, it'd be kind of interesting. Yeah. How are you reacting to this? What do you feel about this? I don't know. Kind of a wasted opportunity. I realize like the movie is not supposed to be deep. It's just kind of a silly action adventure, but I don't know. You could have done some more with the actual Mummy character.
Yeah. For sure.
All right, so this is pretty much the end of the pod. This is where, okay, so give me your final thoughts, and let's rate this out of 5.
Okay. I will say that my final thought is that if you're going in expecting to see Citizen Kane, you're going to leave disappointed. But if you're going in with just looking to have a good time for 2 hours and watch a silly, fun movie, you're going to have a great time. You're going to get your money's worth. And I think that I would give this film 4.5 out of 5 stars.
Oh, okay. All right. I think I'm with you. I think I am 4.5 out of 5. I think the critics got this wrong. The critics are pretentious douchebags. I think for what this movie is, like, okay, we're going to do a different take on the Mummy, and it's going to be like action adventure. It's going to be an Indiana Jones vibe. I think for what they're trying to do, like the pitch for this movie is perfect. Like for what it is, it's perfect. I mean, it's funny. The action's great. The effects still hold up for the most part. Well casted, well acted. I mean, I'm kind of tempted to give it a 5 because I don't really have any, like major beefs or qualms with it. But I'm gonna go 4.5. I mean, yeah. I mean, this isn't like a masterpiece, but like it's so much fun, and I have so much nostalgia for it. I mean, as a kid, this is one of my favorite movies, and I'm so pleased that it still holds up. Like, so yeah, 4.5 for me too.
Yeah. I was really glad when you asked me to do this because I loved this movie when I was a kid. It was a great excuse to rewatch it. I still loved it as an adult. And thanks for having me on the pod because it was definitely worth rewatching the movie for. You know, it was
Yeah,
great.
man, definitely. I think we've talked about some other movies we might do. And who knows, maybe like a year from now, we'll do Mummy Returns. I mean, like, I kind of want to talk about that one now that I'm thinking about it. Like, there's a lot to talk about with that one. But yeah, man, thanks again. And, new episodes every other week. Check me out. And like I said, thank you. And I'll see you next week.